Hi, and welcome to the One Thing I Know for Sure. My name is Wendy Rosenthal. I am your host and Chief Pathfinder at Pathfinder One to One, a transformation practice where we focus on first internal, then external to help our clients step into and stay in their greatness each and every day. The One Thing I Know for Sure is a brief cast where we explore and reveal meaningful, powerful wisdom from our guests so that we can inspire transformation and change using only one question. And that question is, what is the one thing you know for sure and why? One question, powerful answers, inspired thinking. And we're very excited today to welcome our guest, Gavin Weekes, CEO of Riga Investments. Hi, Gavin. How are you?
I'm good, Wendy. Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy that you're here. At the end, we'll give you a little moment to talk about what you do, but we want to jump right in and ask you, Gavin, what is the one thing that you know for sure and why?
Right, what a profound question. So one thing I know for sure is that we have a inside and an outside part of us. So by that I mean we have an inner being, a soul, and we also have an outer being, which is more about our outer awareness. And some people call it the ego. I know you call it the opponent, but there's this dual element to us. And one thing I know for sure is that if we focus on the inner parts of us, which is how we're feeling, our emotions, and we head for that emotional content, we'll receive all the things that we want. That's where all the things that we want are held. But we have been trained out of
Wow.
that. We have been trained out of looking for the emotional content and being inner directed to more outer directed. And therefore, we may get the things we want, but we leave this inner part behind us.
Well, that's very deep. And listen, I know who you are for a long time. You're a very successful entrepreneur. You worked in the city of London for a long time, leading a company. So it's not often that I hear that, that you know for sure that your emotions are the thing that really, I guess, drives you or empowers you. Let's say it that way. So can you give me and the rest of our audience an example of what you mean by what you're saying? Because it's very deep.
Well, I guess I learned over the last 10 years, as you say, I was working in the corporate world, and I realized that whilst I was getting all the things that I wanted, there was this part of me that felt in constant lack and constant anxiety. So I knew, you intuitively know that something's not aligned. The outside looks great, but your inside, my inside, from my experience, started to implode. So with the right support, and I have to interject that, with the right support, the right community, and the right people around you, it gives you a safe space so you can start to express yourselves fully. And that's the imperfect parts of us, because that's the
Mm.
part of us that we're still human beings, right? There's still an element of us that, whether it's trauma or past or whatever it may be, we carry that with us, but we don't give that part of us the love and the nurturing it needs. And to do that means to release. So you release resistance. It's not about getting stuff, it's about releasing stuff. And I
Wow.
found that for sure, once I, going back to the safe space, I had a coach and I could just start to express how I was feeling. Two things happened. One thing is that I felt good most of the time, as opposed to not feeling good most of the time. And the second thing is nothing changed on the outside. So I still consistently achieved. I was still consistently successful. But all of a sudden, this inner part of me that I'd neglected, that was this angst and this fear and this lack, suddenly started to disappear. So I was getting best of both worlds. I was feeling great while achieving more.
Wow, that's amazing. When you say that you're, engaged with your emotions, does that mean that, you know, even when it's a tough emotion that you dive right in? Or is it like you follow the emotions that are the more positive ones? Can you give everybody maybe a little bit of insight about
Yeah,
your process?
it's a good question. And I think it depends what emotion it is and to what degree you're going through that emotion, right? But most of us, we mask our true emotions because our ego, the opponent, this external awareness, this external part of us takes over because it's very peripheral. It likes to, look, see, touch, feel. It's very much a part of that. So it's kind of leading us. It's quite a strong energy. And sorry, Wendy, what was the original question? I lost my train of
Well,
thought.
I'm just wondering, like, we all have emotions, right? Happy, sad. I mean, more specific, even angry.
Right.
Let's use this as an example. If you're angry and you decide to go ahead and internally follow that emotion, is it as productive for you or
Sorry, yeah,
even
no,
more so?
yeah, sorry, I lost train of thought. No, I know exactly what you mean. And going back to masking it, so that's what we're used to doing, is masking the true emotion. But I think with the safe space, I keep going back to the safe space because it is important, because it's hard to do this stuff because we wasn't trained, we wasn't taught to listen to our emotions. That's the first thing. You have to get quiet enough in your own mind to drop into your body so you can start to feel more. When you feel more, it becomes quite clear whether it's a good emotion or a bad emotion. If it's a good emotion and it's all good, right, there's no need to follow, right? You're already on the right trajectory. The momentum is strong in the right direction. But if
Mm.
it's an emotion that you're trying to mask, or it doesn't feel good, or it's negative, with the safe space, you need to let that emotion play out. We're not in the jungle, we're safe, right? So letting it play out means we're not going to die. There's nothing traumatic's going to happen. But what it
Right.
does do is it allows that emotion, which is all energy, to be released and come to the surface. You can face it. So once you can face that emotion, and I know it's not easy because it can be quite painful, but painful or not, it's still rising. You're no longer masking it. It's now uncovered. And when you uncover it, when you uncover something, right, it's exposed. So you're not
I
containing it.
mean,
It's out there.
again, I think that's such a beautiful thought. And I wonder if you could cap that off by like giving us an example of when you've done that, how has that impacted your external world? Is it just like, do you see the results right away?
Yes, it's instant. It's instant. And it's funny you should say that, because I had a moment probably about a couple of weeks ago where, again, going back to the beginning of this conversation, things were going really well, manifesting. I was happy in all areas of my life, from health, from wealth, from relationships and spirituality. But there was this inner part of me that felt this lack, this feeling again, that I was like, what is this? I've got everything on the outside. What's going on? So I did the exercise, right? I slowed down, got into a safe space. My safe space was in the park. I'm on the back of a park. It's lovely. Trees, nature, it's beautiful. So that's my safe space. I followed the emotion, and the emotion went back to it's an area of my life which I've had a lot of coaching around, a lot of therapy around, which is about abandonment. All right. Now I've gone straight deep, quite far in, but I've done the work. So I know there's two or three things that are just rooted a part of me. So when
Mm-hmm.
that abandonment feeling came up, I was like, wow, I feel abandoned, but on the outside, I feel great. So I gave the abandonment the attention it needed, because I worked out that I was leaving this part of me, which is still part of Gavin, right? It may be an imperfect part, but it's not imperfect, because the universe, everything is perfect on a universal level, right? So when you start to think, well, if everything's perfect, then there is no imperfect part of me. So what am I running away from? Why am I running away from this energy, this part of me? So, knowing the universe, and through my own understanding of how the universal forces work, the universe caters for everything, right? From the insects to the trees, to the animal life, to the plant life. It energizes all. So, therefore, it must energize that part of me. So, that part of me now, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, the universe is pointing straight at that part. So, if it can look after that part, it can look after the external part. It looks after everyone. And all of a sudden, that one process set me free. Energetically, I was no longer feeling this lack, because the universe is covering that part of me.
Uh,
It's still loved. It's still loved equally as it is the Gavin that I know on the outside. So merging the two together, all of a sudden, that simple process now set me free, where I've got more energy to give. I've got more energy to share. I've got more vitality, and you feel good. That's why we're doing it, to feel good, but in an aligned way, not separate.
that's awesome. And you were able to get back to your day and do all the things that you want to do,
Not
like
that Great
manifest
back
and
on
all of
track.
that.
That process, Wendy,
Amazing.
for me, it's funny. That process for me was about 10 minutes. 10 minutes, and then
Amazing.
it's gone. Right, and we
Amazing.
know that when you're aligned, and you're not carrying that part, that lack. You don't see that because it's all in alignment. That's when all the things you want suddenly drop in.
That's
It's all lower
amazing.
hanging fruit. It's all low hanging fruit, but the stuff has to come out. So that's the one thing I know for sure.
And it's a powerful thing. Can you give quickly one tip on how to, like, what's a practice? Like you
Right.
said,
Okay.
maybe the practice is going into your safe space.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So information is everywhere. It's coming at a fast rate at the moment through social media, the internet, TV. So we get distracted. We go off track. So you have to kind of unwind all of that by slowing down. So my process, the tip I would say to everyone is, we all get very busy, but if you are looking to do that alignment piece, you have to do it in not only a safe space, but in an environment where you slow down. So you slow down your thinking, you slow down your talking, you slow down how you're walking, so that things can start to come to the surface. And that's a really good tip, which I'm still learning. It's a daily learning life, right?
Of
Life
course.
learning course we're on. So but yeah, no, it's great. It's great. And look, it doesn't happen all the time, but if you can apply that, that's one. And Wendy, as you know, there's so many different processes, right? But that's one which enables
Yeah.
you to just stuff out rather than get stuff in.
Well, Gavin, thank you so much for sharing the one thing you know for sure. I am positive that your insight is going to help many people as they listen to this, and it'll resonate so strongly. Can you give me about 15 seconds about who you are and how people can find you if they're
Yeah.
interested in talking to you about the one thing you know for sure?
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, so Gavin, I'm based in London. I've got a property acquisitions and a lettings part of the business. If you want to reach me, not just on the business level, because that's what I do, anything to do with real estate, commercial or residential, get in touch. But if you're into personal development or you want to understand more about what I've just said, you can reach me on gavin.weekes@btinternet.com.
Thank you so much, Gavin, for your time. Again, my name is Wendy Rosenthal. I'm the Chief Pathfinder at Pathfinder One-to-One. If you're interested in finding out more about our coaching approach and how we help our clients really elevate their inner self first so that they can elevate their external worlds, you can reach me at www.pathfinder1to1.com. You can visit all of our social media sites, including LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and I'm sure at some point soon TikTok, because that's the way everybody's doing it today. And again, Gavin, thank you so much for your time and your insight. And we're wishing everybody an amazingly beautiful, productive, happy, joyful, aligned day.
Thanks, Wendy.